Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the module briefing session for Social Innovation Project. We will start the session soon. Please wait for a few more minutes. Good afternoon. Very big welcome to the module briefing session for Social Innovation Project. At the very moment at 2:33 p.m., I can see here about 900 students are watching the live streaming. I really want to welcome all of you to this module briefing session. I am Anna Chong, the stream coordinator for this module, and today we want to have a short briefing session to introduce about the module and the learning contents, as well as the assessment task. I really hope that everyone can pay attention until the end of today's session and can gain a clear overview about the module. And this will be a great and enjoyable start of the entire session of the 14 weeks of learning. Wherever you are, I really hope that you have a good, clear access to this YouTube live streaming. And also you are able to access to the module site so that we can have the data contents on our hands and we can follow this module briefing session. All right, let's begin here with the agenda of today's meeting. If you can access to the module site, you should be able to see this yellow banner on the top in the first week 1 section. And there are a few informations that you can refer. I will go through here all the items given on the module site, point number 1.1 to 1.5. And of course, there will be a few additional information together. So if you want to actually have a text with you, you can open your module site either using your MyTimes app or use the web browser and can go through together with me. The first thing we want to talk about is the coaching staff, including me, and here we have 6 more coaches, and will be followed by module learning outcome. And we introduce how the lessons will be conducted in this semester and move on to the assessment task in relation to the module learning outcome. We will make a good linkage to understand how we can successfully complete our learning activities in this module. And I will introduce further about our detailed timeline starting from week 1 to week 14. We'll go through each week what we are going to do, what is the expectation we have to complete this module. And we will have a short quiz just to recap our understanding for the item from 1 to 5. And we move on to a little bit of introduction of our frameworks, what the Taylor's Impact Lab means here in our module, and what is the design thinking progress. All right. I'd like to introduce our team first. We are from School of General Studies and Languages, and we have our head of department, Ms. Nur Shaila Abdul Razak, and Dr. Fang Yi Sue as our program director. I am Anna Zhang, stream coordinator for UP4 module, and here we have our coaches, Dr. Sharala, Ms. Yasota, Mr. Colin, Mr. Wan Arjunaidi, and lastly, Ms. Seal. We all be able to meet our coaches starting from week 5. So for the moment, from week 1 to week 4, while we are having mass lecture, if you have any question, inquiries, you need some clarification, please contact me. Look for Anna Jones and the email from kyoun.jong. Starting from week 5, when we have the coaches guidance and we will start the group discussion in detail, then you can contact your coaches for the inquiries. I want to start with a leading question. Let us think first. If you have some issues in our society, we are watching the TV news or we are maybe check the feed on our social media platforms. And are you the type want to say, leave me alone? I don't care. I am very stressed. Or you just have only the energy to take care of yourself. Or are you the type that you are really paying attention to people's life and you want to be a part of the community? I think for me also, sometimes when I am a bit overwhelmed, I have no space, I have no room for other stuffs, even for my family, then I can be a little more selfish and just care about myself. But it is the practice that now in this module, we want to change a little bit of our angle and use different lenses to see the things. Then we can maybe see the different things from different people's perspective. And I believe that personal learning and understanding about ourselves will be the first thing we want to focus on. But after we learn about ourselves, understand more about our strengths and weaknesses, how we can actually improve as an individual, we all can look around and understand the people around you and also the society. So this module, Social Innovation Project, is actually talking about yourselves and also the people around you, that particular community that you are now belonging. By the way, I am not a local, I'm not a Malaysian, but I also think that living here in Malaysia actually impacts my life. So I want to speak to those who are not from Malaysia. Please do try to understand the culture and the issues in this society, especially while you are studying here in Malaysia. We want to understand how we actually can use those key principles and practices with a focus on creating solutions and benefit communities through this module. So we will have a beginning of the semester, we will have these introductions to the key principles and practices through mass online lecture. So it is crucial that please don't think that, oh, this is just video, I maybe can watch later. I think there is a huge gap if you treat it like watching a video, or you actually sit down properly and pay attention, take note, and try to understand that concept. because all the things we introduce in mass lecture, I mentioned here, key principles and practices, will also be part of the contents in your assessment. So we need to actually pay attention all the details in the mass lecture and also understand. And with that fundamental ideas and principles, we will move on to the activities to apply not just that ideas or principles, but we also want to practice together in the discussion, how we do the brainstorming, how we can actually analyze the data in a collaborative mode. So we are working in a team using design thinking process. Why are we using all these principles and spending time for group discussion? Our goal is to come out with a solution by hearing the needs of the people and analyzing their voices and evaluating our ideas. Hopefully, at the end of the semester, after we complete all these learning activities in this module, we have a little bit more of understanding on our society and also the heart and attitude to listen to the people's need. Then I think our learning at the end of this, maybe your degree course, your learning, your knowledge, your application of the knowledge will be more effective and meaningful. Now I want to move on to the module learning outcomes. We have 3 different learning outcomes. First learning outcome is to describe comprehensive issues in social innovation to capitalize on opportunities presented in the contemporary real-world setting, encapsulating social and ethical values. To evaluate these, we want to actually do a group activities together. And of course, our activities are more for the first stage is to understand, and we at the end describe the issue and come up with a solution. The solution part is related to module learning outcome 2. Propose social innovation solution for a multitude of disciplines that benefits users and society. So in our group discussion, I really want to encourage you or all of you to form a group with some dynamics, maybe dynamics in the maybe learning area, your programs, gender, maybe the races, languages you are using. You can have a different source of diversity in a group because we don't want to have the same voices for the same issue. We maybe have different ideas or more brilliant and diverse ideas from different group of people. Last learning objectives is related to individual, your interpersonal skills, how we can develop our skills and attitude toward the learning, demonstrate resilience and adaptability in handling disruptions and opportunities. So we can understand roughly there is a group task and how it's going to be. I think these are the parts that we need little bit of attention, or you are maybe very nervous or stressed. I want to introduce the learning delivery first, and we are going to move on to the assessment task. So let's begin with the week 1. If you are here in the live streaming, synchronously joining this session, then it means you already have checked the module site and get the link from the module site. Starting from week 1 until week 4, we are going to have synchronous online mass lecture. It means you are going to have an online session like today, and there will be different topic for each lesson, and there will be a guest lecture. We are inviting professions and expertise on this particular topic. And after the delivery of the lesson during week 2 to 4 through mass lecture, we will have the quiz to check on our understanding on these fundamental principles and practices. If you can refer to your timetable, you might have a question, because in your Taylor's app, it shows that this lecture 1 session is a 4-hour lecture session. How can I speak of something for 4 hours? I think it's very, very long. Why we need to have that 4-hour session in your timetable? We actually just wanted to secure the 2 time slots, 2:30 to 4:30 and 4:30 to 6:30, to ensure we have this session to the end of semester. So for the time being, especially by week 4, your timetable will show 1 lecture class for 4 hours. Apparently, we will not spend these 4 hours long. Our mass lecture will be maximum 2 hours. So hope you can understand and have no confusion from now. The lecture session will start at 2:30 through YouTube live streaming. Yesterday, one of our students actually messaged me and asked if the place where they are have no access to YouTube because of the restriction. So I will also provide alternative platform to watch the recording. I'm pretty sure it's quite challenging to watch live streaming if there is such restriction synchronously, maybe cannot watch. So for those students who have no access to YouTube live streaming at the moment, they all can watch the recording. I will share the alternative platform on the module site latest by next Monday. And starting from week 5, our lesson delivery mode is changed to synchronous online lecture led by coach, and it will be followed by a synchronous self-learning and consultation. So starting from week 5, we are going to work with our coaches and the team group members. Week 5 to week 7, we expect your coach to lead and especially start MS Teams meeting. Synchronously, they can introduce and guide you what we should do for a case study. And starting from week 8, they might be no synchronous session at the scheduled time. For example, if your class shows at 2:30, then initially week 5 to week 7, we expect you actually to be in a Microsoft Teams meeting to get guidance from your coach. But starting from week 8, it is no longer compulsory unless your coach requires. We expect you to actually have your own group discussion sessions asynchronously, and we'll have the regular consultation with your coach. In one class, we will have about 200 students, plus minus 200 students. So there will be actually quite a number of groups under one coach. So we will expect you to have the proactive attitude to schedule the consultation with the coach, not the last minute, so that your coach and your group members can actually align and plan their time well. Here, I really want to emphasize the proactive preparation because at the end of the semester, if you want to recap all the things we couldn't manage at weekly base, I think it will be very overwhelming and it's quite difficult to expect to have a very good academic results. Your satisfactory level will be very low, and I think we're not really able to learn properly with the process of discussion and also the presentation of your learning outcomes. So please make sure, starting from week 5, under the guidance of your coach, schedule your group meeting. Please make it regular base, and also book a consultation slot for the coach and your group members to plan their time ahead. Let me just shortly introduce the assessment task. And when we have the whole timeline from week 1 to week 14, you will understand how we should actually prepare a time more specifically. Now we have only 2 assessment tasks. If you are able to access to the module site, please go to the section 1.3 on the week 1 section. The banner shows only 2 assessment tasks, right? So after I introduce the assessment task here, you scroll down on the page, there are, if I'm not mistaken, 3 check-in question you maybe can try. You just recall your understanding. So here we have the first assessment task, which is quizzes. And this will contribute 60% of your final mark, and it is an individual learning activity. Of course, the coach and maybe your group members can alert and remind you, but you are the main agent of learning. You are responsible to take the quiz at the scheduled time. So please, maybe you can remark on your calendar. The quiz will be in 3 different sets. And quiz 1, the first set should be complete in week 5, where we start the classes with the coach. And quiz 2, the second part will be in week 6. And the last quiz, final quiz will be in week 10. Where we can do the quiz, of course, we are going to use our main platform, our module site. And most of the quiz questions could be quite straightforward and simple. You will see the types of the question, the format of the quiz through the check-in or review questions throughout the mass lecture. So again, it is important to join our mass lecture and follow the instructions to see how the types of questions or the format of the quiz would be. And the second assessment task is finally group activity, case study. This will contribute 40% of your final mark. Here we have 2 different summation times. So I will go through specifically how we want to manage these 2 different timeline to submit our the works. Let's go through one by one. As I mentioned, the quiz will have 3 different sections. Okay, I need to repeat it again for you to actually fully understand. So please don't feel bored when I repeat the same thing again, because it's important, very important. So we will repeat multiple times. Assessment task 1 is quiz, and there will be 3 sets of quiz throughout the semester. First quiz will be in week 5, quiz 2, week 6, and the final quiz 3 will be in week 10. And each quiz set will contribute 20% of your mark. And basically, the contents of the quiz questions are related to that contents we introduce in the mass lecture. So if you can check the topic of mass lecture, week 2, next week, we will be introduced to design thinking. Week 3, our second mass lecture section, we will be introduced to ESD, Educational Sustainability Development, Sustainable Development, and also SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. And it will be followed by the last mass lecture section, which will be in week 4. This last mass lecture will be about ethics. So after we went through all these contents to understand the fundamental principles and practices, then before we move on to the actual practices in our case study, the group assignments, we want to test our knowledge through the quizzes. And while we are testing our understanding through quiz 1 and 2, we will move on to synchronously to the case study. So actual case study, we start in week 5, and we expect you to make a group, form the groups in week 4, latest by week 4. So when we meet week 5, when we meet our coach on MS Teams, that we know who are our group members, and you can have maybe icebreak sessions and get to know each other and set our maybe regular meeting time, that virtual meeting time or physical meeting time, so that when we start week 5, then immediately we move into that group discussion. In the case study, we have these 2 different submission deadlines. Let me explain why we have separated these 2. There are 4 evaluation criteria in this assessment, and each criteria will contribute 10 marks. If you understand the case study, the detailed elements of the case study, the first part is more for problem identification and relevance. Means after we finish 3 sections, week 5, week 6, and week 7, we all should be able to identify the problem we want to look into. So case study means we are going to choose one particular case. In other words, one particular social issue we want to learn more and want to provide potential innovative solution for that. Then in the 3 weeks time, week 5, 6, and 7, we do the research. If we need it, we do the interview, we do analyze what we actually get from maybe online platforms like journal articles, news articles, social media platforms. Then we evaluate them and identify that one particular problem we want to look into. So after the 3-week section, then we want you to submit a summary of your problem identification. Then that will be the first submission in week 8. Then the coach can mark your submission of summary and can review the marks and also provide the feedback. For your information, this entire process of case study must be very progressive. It means without learning 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers, it's difficult to understand plus, minus, multiplication. So we need to understand the fundamental idea we discussed in week 5, 6, 7 clearly. And now you have one particular problem. Then we can move on to the next step. We will go into that question in depth and try to think what would be the best solution for this particular problem we identified earlier. So the feedback is very important. If your identification of problem has a bit of gap, or maybe it's logically not very stable, you need to actually develop with a better explanation and all the details. Then the coach will give a feedback somewhere in week 8. Then you can develop it or modify your program statement, the identification of the problem. I can move on to the next stage starting from week 8 or week 9. So we will have this first submission in week 8. Here, I want to show you the list of the cases first. Of course, we have a little bit of room of flexibility that if your particular group, you want to select topic or the case, the particular problem out of this list, it is acceptable. But we want to have your coach to go through your idea even before you start the research in week 5 and get a consent first. And the reason we have this list is also based on the impact-led titles. Here we have 11 different topics, and it is all related to UN's SDG, the second mass lecture topic. It is all about how we develop the ideas or particular practices, even the products, to impact the people and society. There are so many different categories, and your expertise in the future will be quite diverse. You might be an engineer, you might be an educator, you can be something different or new in the future society. Now, how we can impact this particular group of community or the people in our society? We just want to have this type of categories with different chunks of the ideas so that we can actually aim for a more effective solution for the society. So maybe you can go through one by one. You can visit Taylor's Impact Lab website to have a look what are the relevant social issues in that particular impact lab. For example, if you are interested in clean technology, here we have 5 different cases. And later, we will have the summary of the case in our module site. I will introduce or share very soon by end of next week. Then you can view the summary of the case. And then maybe when we meet on week 5 with the group members, you can maybe suggest or persuade your group members why we need to select this particular case. Or maybe you can do like voting, which is the most popular or most interesting topic for you. Then from there, after you get the summary of the case, you can develop the idea, look for actual events, actual incidents, something happened through the research. You can search online related to events and issues, and you can develop the ideas from there. And this process will be in the 2-3 weeks time in the beginning of group discussion, week 5, 6, and 7. And from this discussion, we will make a clear statement what is the particular problem we want to resolve. Because even though we say here maybe e-waste crisis, there are so many different group of people who are suffering or discussing, developing the solutions for the e-waste crisis. So you can narrow down your idea, not only the whole title of e-waste crisis or one of these topics, we can narrow down where this group of people, where this group of people are living, or in what context, who they are. We can make it a bit more specific to provide more impactful and effective solution. So along the way, we will submit that problem statement, that identification problem in week 8, and we move on to the case study further starting from week 9. Then you will go through all the tasks together as a group, and we will complete the case study by week 13. Then in week 13, your coaches will evaluate the other 3 criteria items. Of course, it is the progressive learning, right? So in between week 8 and week 13, surely you will get the feedback from the coach, and you can request for a review and also the constructive feedback from the coach. So after you complete all the learning activities given in a case study journey, then you can complete and submit. One representative of the group will submit their final set of case study. Okay, so I just can introduce one more time the case study part 1 and part 2. Case study part 1, it only covers that empathy section in our design thinking, because we are going to use the design thinking progress, and we have only 3 sections, 3 stages in the design thinking we implement in this module. So after you do some learning activities, follow the instruction in a case study journal, we complete that first section, which is empathy. Then we can have the problem identification, and we submit the summary of your problem identification. Okay, I'm repeating. And after we submit this one, we get some feedback from our coach. We continue develop them in the 2 stages in the design thinking process. Stage 2, define. Stage 3, ideation. Then at the end of this case study journey, we will come up with one particular solution to respond to the issue we have found earlier stage in empathy. So we will make a very clear developments to understand the issue, to analyze and think of the potential solutions. And finally, we select the most impactful and the best solution to propose. So main idea in this case study is to understand the needs, particularly for the group of people in our society, hear from them, analyze their voices, and observe their voices. And we come up with that potential solution. We just propose that solution that will be end of our case study journey. Both two assessment submission, the deadline is Thursday. For your information, our class is set on Friday, but because of the policy under the higher education, Ministry of Higher Education, we are not allowed to actually conduct any assessment deadline, the test on Fridays. So we actually set the deadline by 1 p.m. Thursday for these two submissions. Please remark. Okay, so week 8, the due date for the first section, empathy, for problem identification, the due date is 13 November, the Thursday of week 8 by 1 p.m. Okay. If you progressively developed the idea in a case study journal, then I think it's not very difficult to complete by the deadline. And of course, another submission in week 13 would have the same timeline, Thursday, 1 p.m. The date will be 18 December. So we have about a month after the first submission of the case study. Okay, now we already went through a few important items, and this will be the last 4, okay, the latest 4 one. We just went through the assessment task, and I just want to introduce the timeline so we can actually put them together, our lesson delivery and the assessment task. We can have the understanding as a full set of learning activity. If you can access to the module site, please click and download Social Innovation Project Weekly Planner. Then you can go through this introduction of timeline together with me. In week 1, at the moment, now we are in module briefing, and I introduced the structure of the module and the assessment tasks and expectations. Starting from week 2 until week 4, we will have mass online lecture, right? So we are going to have the similar section like today, but we have different topic. The first topic we are going to learn will be design thinking. And week 3, UN Sustainability Development Goal, and week 4 about ethics. One additional thing I need to highlight is to have a group, form a group in week 4. So the coach will approach to you how we need to manage or how we need to select or form a group around week 3. So for these 2 weeks, you can have the access to the other module site and can get an instruction from the coach and form the group. Then starting from week 5, which is under lecture 2, you will have 2-hour section in your timetable. You will see the coach's name there. And even though we don't have a physical class, we will meet the coach virtually, and each group will need to select all particular case. You remember just now we have a list of impact lab, all 11, and each impact lab topic would have 5 to 7, 8 different cases. So your group sit together and discuss which topic, which case is more interesting, or maybe you can relate more. So you can select one particular case in a group. And as an individual, please don't forget there will be a quiz in week 5. So in a week time, the assess will be not only for one day, which is Friday. We will have a multiple days of assess for the quiz. Okay, so please complete the quiz at your convenient time within that time frame. And week 6, we will continue with the case study. So this will be the quick real starts of the group discussion, particularly following the instructions in the case study journey. So in the case study journey, now at the moment, you are not able to see that particular feature in the main module side because we want to release the activities week 3 and onwards in the coaches, individual coaches module side. Then in that particular section of the case study journal, there will be the instruction what we need to do in that particular week. And in week 6, we start on empathy. These discussions on the topic of empathy will lead until week 8. So we will continue the discussion in a group and get a consultation, have a consultation session with the coach in between week 6 and 7 so that you can have a finalized problem statement identifying the problem by week 8 and submit a summary of identification of problem. Okay, so we will finish quiz 1 and 2 before week 7. We will get on already 40% of your final mark. And if you continue here, week 7 and 8, if your group successfully submitted that first part of the case study journal, then you will understand, you will know 50% of your mark already. Then here we know, I really hope that you will not be discouraged, or more encouraged to work together in a group for a better performance and learning experience toward the end of semester. Starting from week 9, we no longer have a synchronous lecture class with the coach, means you are no longer meeting at 2:30 or 4:30, but I really hope that you can set your regular group meeting and also regular consultation with the coach. These are two different things, right? Before you have a consultation with the coach, your group should meet together and have some progress in case study journal. You put something there, answer to that question, then bring there to present in the consultation. Then the coach can comment, share their insights. You can develop ideas better. And the individual assessment, there will be one more in week 10. And we will move on to define stage after we got some feedback from our coaches. After we finish the empathy section, we move on to define. After this 2 weeks time of discussion, we will move on to the last stage in the design thinking, stage 3, ideation. So this timeline is actually, it can be a little more flexible. For example, if your group is advanced, that you are very quick in discussion, they are very cooperative, brilliant ideas comes and brainstorming went so well, even the coach give a very positive feedback, of course, then you can move on to the next activities. But we have this timeline for you to actually keep track and not lose our pace. So I really hope you can alert each other in a group. Please don't tell me my group leader never say anything. You are in charge of your, you are the main agent of your learning. Okay, you cannot be very dependent on your other group members or group leader. Okay, so if you realize that it's urgent, we have limited time to complete, please alert your group members and work together. Even after you highlight this issue, you highlight that urgency, but your group members and group leader never take action. You have difficulty in communication and difficulty in carrying on the activities. Then what we need to do? Please contact your coach and get assistance. I really hope this entire journey of your learning, when we are thinking of the group activity, sometimes we just don't want to start. Already we feel like, this is difficult just because of other people. But maybe this is also a very important learning journey. We embrace the issue, we try to find out the best solution at that time. I think we really need to have an open communication in a group as well as between the coach and the students. So during this time, week 9 to week 12, since there is actually no lecture class, it is very important to have a regular consultation with your coach. Otherwise, there will be no particular platform that you all can sit together and present something to coach and get the feedback or raise the issue or conflict difficulties to your coach. Okay, so please make sure schedule 2 things during this 4 weeks time. One, the regular group meeting discussion. The other one, regular consultation slots with the coach. It doesn't need to be every week, but at least once in 2-3 weeks time, so you can present the progress to your coach and get a sufficient feedback. All right. By this time in week 12, I think you are already in the either holiday mood or very stressed for the final exams and final assessment. So really hope that you can actually distribute your time and plan that work very, very wisely in the middle of semester. So toward the end of semester, week 13, you can be very relaxed and just can compile your work together, just a review your work you contributed throughout the 5-6 weeks of group discussion very conveniently, or maybe with a less stress, you can compile and submit. So the final submission of your case study is due in week 13. After this submission, you can expect of the release of the marks, but of course, by the university policy, the coaches will not allow we are not allowed to share the whole the 100% of your marks and tell the grades. The final grades are not will not be shared. We only have 80% of your coursework marks to be shared in the module site. Okay. So where if you have any questions or you expect to have some clarification on the evaluation, you can contact your coach in week 14. I really hope that all different questions, and if there's a doubt, it can be resolved and explained by week 14. Okay. So here we already went through few items. We introduced our team. You could see the name and the face, profile pictures of our coaches. There were 3 different learning outcomes. And in relation to these learning outcomes, we have 2 assessment tasks, quizzes and case study. And we now understand there's 2 different types of lecture. Lecture 1, mainly for the mass online lecture. And lecture 2, where we start the case study under the guidance of individual respective coach. And we just went through what we expect to do each week, starting from today, week 1, to the end of semester. For your information, the last week, week 14, is actually the new year 2026, right? So I really hope that we all can actually complete everything before the Christmas week, and we can have expect to have a feedback by end of this year from the coaches. There are 3 more items that will be very quick, but before we move on to these, why we maybe can have a short break for a cup of water, or you go to toilet. And in between, please respond to these 3 simple questions. Please try here. Let me start this question here. if you want to scan, give me a second. Use this QR code. If it doesn't work, then you can open one of the browser on your mobile device or on your laptop and type here the address menti.com, ALZIKDM 3ZZM1. There are 3 questions to answer. It is to understand your attention, your level of understanding. Let's see. Right, you can use here the QR code. How many of you are actually responding and paying attention? Very good. Now we have about 500, close to 600 are responding. Can I have more than 1,000 since we have actually more than 2,000 students in this module? All right, it doesn't take so much of time and effort, right? Just simple manner. You scan the QR code, answer to 3 questions only, please. And is it disturbing you because I show the responses here? Right, very good. Few more minutes. Okay, it's up to 1,000. Okay, that's the limit actually. For those who are joining later, sorry, your answers cannot be captured. It's like first come first serve. All right, so the first question, let's just recap what we had just now in our earlier section. What is the main objective of the Social Innovation Project course? Thank you for your responses. Majority of you could understand. Or here, don't know how many, maybe your finger is not really obeying your brain command. Your brain commanded properly or correct, right? But this finger didn't press correct one. Make sure, okay, it's a joke, okay? Make sure you understand the very fundamental idea of the module. If someone asks, why are you doing this module? Please tell them properly. We are not doing fundraising. We are not just doing learning the theory, but we want to understand the social issue and we want to propose a potential, effective, innovative solution to the particular group of people. Okay? Oh, that's good. I didn't realize actually this platform can accept more than 1,000. Very good. Please continue. Okay? Let's move on to the next question. If you can't view, just refresh the page. It will appear again. Okay, the question I'm showing on the screen, it will appear again. Okay, so please refresh the page and start again. If it is needed, you open your module site and check one more time. Visually, you see that particular section, it is written on the module site, okay? It helps you to remember vividly and clearly. All right, here our consultation-based sessions will start in week 5. So the coach will maybe have an opening session together, everybody meeting in a MS Teams meeting for the entire group of maybe 100, 200 students. And at the scheduled time, okay, 2:30 or 4:30, according to your class timetable, then we move on to the group discussion. Okay, so there will be the consultation-based sessions starting from week 5. Okay, don't forget 1, 2, 3, 4 mass lecture. Starting from week 5, we have coach-led consultation-based sessions. Okay, I told you we have 3 questions, right? So here we have one more. Which week is the final quiz? Sorry, I need your accuracy. You don't need to be very quick, or I need to be very correct, okay? Think and check. The final quiz, I also called it just now quiz 3, right? And which week do we have the quiz? See here, about 100 students have a wrong answer. Oh no, should we need to start from the beginning again? We spent about an hour to introduce the module learning outcome, assessment plan, and all that. Still had more than 100 students. Okay, we learn from the mistakes, right? So please remark, okay? I think you need to open your calendar, okay? Your scheduler and remark. Week 10 is the right answer. We will do the last element of the quiz in week 10, okay? Final quiz, not the final submission of the case study. So it's no harm to repeat. This is the evidence, okay? I need to repeat because not everybody fully, I don't want to say understand fully, remember, you understood, right? But just couldn't recall the detail. So let's repeat just to understand the assessment task. Thank you for your attention. And let me go back to this particular page because we had a little bit of confusion here. So repeat one more time. There are 2 assessment tasks, and the first assessment is the quizzes. We have a three sets of quiz, and each quiz, sorry, the background, okay. Each quiz will contribute 20% of the final results, and the quiz will be in week 5, week 6, and the last element, the quiz 3, will be in week 10. Okay. There's a reason because in week 10, we want to actually to know how you actually use that principle ideas, the practices that we learn in mass lecture in your group work. Okay, so it's more related to your actual application. So that's why we have a little bit of gap here between quiz 2 and quiz 3. Okay. And the assessment task 2 is case study, and case study would have 2 different submission deadlines. It doesn't mean that we have 2 different assessments. It's a one same set of case study journey, but since this particular learning activities is very progressive, so we just want to take the 1/3 of this entire process to be evaluated in the middle of semester, so that we have better or firmer foundation to move on to that group discussion in the case study journey. Okay, so the final submission of case study is week 13. The last quiz, final quiz is in week 10. Okay, so please remark, take note, mark your the calendar. Okay, make sure you have all the deadlines in your calendar. Okay, let's move on to the last 2 sections. I just want to shortly introduce the impact lab and design thinking. We just mentioned about design thinking, we have how many stages, but if it is completely new to you, it's quite difficult to understand what this case study journey is all about. So let me spend a few more minutes to explain these fundamental ideas of impact lab and also design thinking. These all details will all be given during our mass lecture. That's why today my introduction is very brief, just to have a little bit of understanding on this subject matter. The first one is impact lab. Taylor's University, or entire education group, is actually promoting this idea that we can actually use our knowledge and expertise to support our society. So there are in total 11 impact labs, and each impact lab have sub-hubs. So in this particular hub, they also come up with different projects, initiatives. So the staffs and the students actually also can work together for this type of projects and the initiatives, activities to help and contribute to the society. I just want to give a simple example of one of the projects in eradicating poverty, which I actually belong to. We choose to have that one particular issues, which we call it peer poverty. It is related to the female's menstruation, and also can be maybe issue with the use of menstrual products or lack of knowledge and education in the use of menstrual products, and also maybe can sort of like taboos in relation to this subject matter. So what students are doing is basically to look for the people who actually have this issue. So for your case now, you are selecting a case which is like this, period poverty. Just now, the example was e-waste crisis, right? Then you look into the people who have this issue and collect the data, what they say, what they've experienced, what you observe from the resource of the information. Then we come up with a solution at the end of our course. So all the activities we are doing is linked to this big framework, big picture called Impact Lab. Okay, so I really hope that entire course, here we have more than 2,000 students in this semester. We are actually doing the same thing, even though we are targeting a different group, talking about different subject matter. Basically, we have this big picture that we are learning through experience, not just practice, but also come up with the ideas, potential solution to maybe can impact our society immediately. So here we have the list later in the module side. We can go through what exact activities we have in the Impact Lab. You can relate it to your case study. We are going to use the design thinking in a case study. Basically, the framework we are going to use to come out with the idea. We can't just make a product and then now looking for a market. One of my friends who is working for a retail shop, actually she told me that is the actual way her company is doing. And she realized this is not very ideal because they have a product and they are looking for the people to buy. But now we want to go the other way around. We are looking for the people who has a needs, who have a difficulties. And our solution, which can be a product, can be a service, can be a framework, it can be assisting, helping, or resolving that issue this group of people currently have. So this design thing is starting from the people. In our empathy section, we are going to hear from them. We're going to learn about the people and the issue. In define session, we want to go into depth what exact issue they have. We want to define the issue and the potential solution, how we want to link this solution. And after we come up with multiple ideas with the potential solutions, then we are going to select and make a description for that idea. So these 3 stages we are going to use in this module. In fact, the design thinking process is formed with 5 stages. But in our module, with our time limit and to make our learning more effective, we just want to focus on the first 3 stages. And the other 2 stages in our design thinking process is basically to develop that idea as a prototype for the users, for our target group, those people who have that issue, try and give you feedback. That will be the process of prototype and testing. So our entire course, while we are developing case studies starting from week 5, we are going to develop the idea based on this process. One more time, empathy is to hear and understand their needs. We will need to come up with this empathy map. We can put all the things they mentioned, they did, and what they think and how they feel in different manner, so we can have the big picture, how we need to see this issue and their needs. And in our define stage, now we already have this fundamental understanding on the issue. Now we want to make it very clear, not just whole thing, but focused issue. So we will come up with a very clear problem statement, in other words, point of view. And from there, we can come up with the potential questions that how we can answer to this issue, how we can come up with a solution for this particular issue. Then after these potential questions that we have at the end of define stage, that we answer to these questions while we are going through this brainstorming tool and impact and effort metrics to come up with most effective, the best one solution that will be the end of our design thinking exercise for the case study. Okay, so I know this is a very abstract concept if you haven't tried. When I also was introduced to the design thinking first time, it was quite difficult. But once you start the discussion, you will be able to understand why this is impactful, why it's meaningful for our learning. And I'm very sure we can use this process of thinking, how we develop the ideas and best solution, not only for the social issue, but only for your own issues, how we can actually use our time effectively, how can I make my reflection more meaningful. We all can do the same in the same manner. Now, I just want to recap the last part. Now, if you can go to the My Times, then you will see the module site, which I call it main site. But later, there will be two module sites. One is that module site now you can access, where I share the link for today's live streaming mass lecture. The other module site will be released very soon, most probably week 3. Now, for me, I already hide this in My Times to avoid any confusion. You can visit this module site and the other module site that you don't know where to find that exact information. So at the moment, this second item is hidden. Our old coaches actually hide that section. Later, once this platform is ready and we are ready to move on to the discussions for the case study, it will be active, then you will be able to see this module site. So to differentiate one from the other, maybe you can check the name of the module site with a banner you see in the left-hand side, and the name of the title of the module site is a main site with a semester. The other module site, under the guidance of your coach, will have a different name after the semester 2 or 2, 5 or 9. You will see here learning and assessment. So all the learning and assessment, especially your assignment task, should be done and submitted in this module site. So if you are visiting the other module site currently accessible and look forward to submit something, no chance, nothing is activated. Okay, so you need to go to the other module site, which is learning and assessment site, to key in your discussion outcome, to submit your case study results, to attempt and complete all 3 quiz sets. Okay, you need to use the other module site. Okay, is it clear? If it's not clear, then what you need to do? Draw me a message. Okay, ask where is this, how to access. Before we move on to the Q&A, I just want to have a quick reminding session. The first, there are 2 different lectures. Lecture 1 is for the mass lecture. So in your timetable, it shows the 4-hour section, but apparently we will not spend 4 hours, maybe only 2 hours. 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Section 2 is referring to the sessions led by the coach, and there will be the consultation as well as self-directed learning, including your group discussion. And I just want to repeat here, there will be the recording for all mass lecture. So if there is interruption of the internet because of any different tech issues, then you can watch the recording. Of course, we will take an attendance, but still is important to catch up the lesson if you missed out during the live streaming asynchronous session. And the case study will be the group task, and regarding the evaluation in the group, individual student might have a little bit of difference in their results. When we have the group marks, when everybody equally contributed and they really work together, then of course we will expect all the group members will have the same marks. But just in case 1 or 2 students in your group, we really hope there is no, but realistically it happens. So if 1 or 2 free riders, maybe they just partially participated, causing an issue and conflict, but not much of contribution, then we want to have a room for evaluation here. So if the particular group member have unequal effort or 0 contribution, then these particular students, we cannot expect a very good results, and we only can actually appreciate the works they have done in a group discussion. Okay, so it's a very important part. I really hope that we can have an open communication with your group members and also the coach. It doesn't mean that only group leader can raise this kind of issue to the coach. Please don't wait until the end of semester. From time to time, in every single week, you can just update what is happening in your group, if anything you concern. Okay, so that the coach is understanding your group's progress. If you have any question related to the delivery of the lessons, of the contents of this module or assessment task, now we want to have a short Q&A session. Of course, you can ask the question by dropping a message to me directly via my Teams or email or Microsoft Teams. But if it is beneficial to ask here, and everybody here in this session can understand better, then you can have this, you can use these 2 platforms, either Slido, or you go to the module site and click mass lecture Q&A. It is only open for these 2 hours during our mass lecture period. So you can leave that question there. Our moderator, Dr. Shalala, and I can review and answer to your questions. Okay, if no questions, then can I really believe and trust that everything is very clear and you really fully understood? Of course, we can develop better, deeper understanding later on, but if you have any question, okay, please drop the question here for us to answer, make a clarification today. Okay, let me check the Slido. If during the mass lecture, something is not clear and you need that immediate urgent response, you can message me. Okay. Okay, here, all good. Is there a team group in the team app? Yes, but not now. Okay, so it means Microsoft Teams will be open, not now, later. because you go there here and you have the confusion. We just want to focus, want to have one platform, which is module site at the moment. MS Teams will be activated. We all can view starting from week 4. Then we can form a group and start the scheduling of week 5 discussion. Okay, let me also continue. How many people should be in each group? Ideally, 8 to 10. More than 10, it will be very troublesome because only few people, you already know the issue, right? 10 is already quite big, so more than 10, please. Okay, divide into 2 or join with other groups. So maybe like 11 or the other group 9. You try to equally distribute less than 10. Keep less than 10. 8 is better, okay? So I think the coaches will guide you. I really hope that you don't argue in that sense. Like, oh, 11 and 10, not much of difference. I will firmly inform you here. Make it less than 10, maximum number 10. Okay? No more arguments. If it's 11, I don't want to use that. You need to kick a person out. But discuss with your coach, okay? You can have maybe the other group to have the balanced number of students in the group, okay? It's better to have like 7 members to all the groups, okay? How will we give attendance? Okay, for your information, today, no attendance. We need to take. But starting from next week, we will, okay? And of course, during that, during the consultation sessions, of course, we will not take attendance. We will not take attendance in the manner we do in a physical or synchronous class using our camps, using your Taylor's app. But coaches will keep track. If, let's say, you have 3 consultation slots in 5 weeks' time, and one particular student never turn up, this will be a very crucial part that we need to alert you. It is important to join a consultation and meet your group members regularly, right? So I really hope that you remember there will be the attendance taking session all the time. Of course, it is not reflected as a attendance in your system, but coach and your group leader should keep track. Okay? Is there okay, must group form during the same lecture? Yes. The group must be formed in the same class. Means my friend is in 2:30 class on the Miss Anna, and I am in the 4:30 class on the Dr. Shalala, and I want to work together. Sorry, it's not acceptable. Okay, so one class will have that certain number of students, and you need to form a group within that group. Okay. What is the next question? How do we select groups? Okay, this actually I leave it to your coaches, but most probably we will have the spreadsheet and then we can put our names. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, we want to have a diversity in a group. Means that all 10 members are from the same program, have a same understanding of subject matter. We try to avoid this type of grouping. So we will have a certain criteria. For example, each group should have 2 or 3 different programs, different gender. Okay, you will have that kind of criteria. So please bear in mind that there will be specific criteria that the coach will guide you during week 3 and week 4. Okay, so we are not meeting in the teams yet, but informations will be given. And of course, during our mass lecture, I will also remind you that where you can go, find a link and then put your name or confirm the grouping. How to get a group? Okay, I think I explained it will be between week 3 and week 4. Could you please show your email address? Okay, thank you. Here I have email address. It's mine. If you search my name on the Teams, please don't type Anna. This is my not real name, so you just can type a Jung and search for my name. Will lectures be uploaded to see later? Yes, the recording will be uploaded. Should the members in the same groups to have the same coaches? Yes, I think I respond this. All assignments and quizzes will be in the coaching module site. Yes, I just quoted lesson and assessment site under the guidance of your coach. Okay, correct. Main module site is for the announcement and also the contents for the mass lecture. Why are we starting on the assessment so late? Very good question. Because you want to have a fundamental idea first. Then with that understanding, we want to move on to the group activity. Okay. Can you pick our own group mates? This one, I leave it to your coach. Okay. Most probably yes, but as I mentioned, there are some restrictions we want to put it, like the diversity in the group. And also, of course, sometimes because of the balance of the numbers, 1 or 2 group members need to be part under the other group just to balance among the groups in the class. We have much of freedom in this module. Like right now, maybe you are sitting in your bedroom. Maybe you're in the toilet, or some of you are maybe driving. You have so much of freedom and flexibility. So here we are actually experiencing sometimes the kind of restrictions. I think we actually need to adjust ourselves, our situations to just cope to that given situations. So hope to have your full understanding, especially when we form the group. Okay, I really hope the coach can have a sufficient conversation with you or for this period of time, week 3 and week 4, in forming a group. And even week 5, maybe before we finalize the selection of the case, you still have a window to form and finalize the group. How us contact our group member? Okay, this one, once we form a group, I believe you can contact each other via Teams. Okay, so your group leader or coach will guide you. Maybe they can form a group chat on the Teams, then you can communicate, the exchange contact number, set the meeting time. Okay, all of the lecture are online class. Yes, for your information, if you check your timetable, all the class is given an online-based learning, so there will be no physical class at all in social innovation project class. Our innovation project is subject that can be free choose, or the subject was limited. We all can free to choose. Actually, is a compulsory free elective. Everybody in the, if I'm not mistaken, majority of you in the first year, second semester, right? So everybody need to complete this one before you graduate. Sorry, I cannot answer to the question how old I. Okay, this platform is for this module people. Could you get the link for the video in section 111? Okay, this one I will share later. Just put the link because I understand this is given in the YouTube page. That's why it's a issue have our playback restrictions. Next question, the My Times homework. There's no homework. Please, please, and case study to have disappeared. I checked and cannot see. Of course, you cannot see because this particular module now you can access is not for assessment. All the assessment should be done and submitted in the other module site under the coach. We call learning and assessment module site. How do we know what class we are and who is in our class? Okay, this information, again, I think most of the questions are related to the grouping issue, right? So you all can view in the MS Teams later, and then the coach will share the link for you to put your information. And of course, along the way, we will be able to contact your group members. Okay, I think MS Teams will be quite effectively used for the forming of the group and contacting your group members. Give me a short moment. I want to check the module site as well because the questions are also in the module site. Thank you, Dr. Shalala. She confirmed that the questions are all answered. All right. So for the time being, if you have any confusion further, you need a further clarification and information, please contact me directly. And I really hope the entire journey of your learning, as you could see, actually there are much of concerns, group work and assignments. But if you all can be proactive communicators, if you have a concern, you ask. Now we also have Gen AI to help our brainstorming, look for on particular specific information. So I think we all can learn from each other and develop the enjoyable and meaningful learning experience in this module. So hopefully everybody will finish the semester very successfully, not just academically get an A, but satisfactory level. You actually did something, you actually learned something, and you actually could contribute something toward the end of semester. That will be a very fruitful semester if we all can understand the object of this module and actually can come up with a solution with an effective and meaningful group discussion together. So hopefully you can plan your time in ahead of time. Please download and go through our modules weekly planner so that everybody have a same understanding and no confusion. Thank you very much for your time today. I really hope everybody, for those who couldn't attend synchronous today, also can join next week, 2:30 Friday session for our first mass lecture. Thank you so much. See you next Friday. Bye.